Okay, cinematics, stuannakuk, otakshkitopi. Antaksistiku, takanistokpoawa, nitopostup, ipoksinist. Okay, students, my name is Otakshkitopi. Today I'm going to tell you about conjugation and Blackfeet, how we put together sentences. So let me share my screen. So welcome to Lesson 3 of Blackfeet language. With Otakshkitopi. Okay. So in today's lesson, like I said, we're going to learn conjugation. And particularly, we're going to learn how to conjugate for VAI and VTI, which is verb animate intransitive and verb transitive inanimate, respectively. So what is VAI? So VAI is, like I said, verb animate intransitive. So verb is just, an action word. Animate. In Blackfeet, we have concepts of animacy and inanimacy, which basically is living versus non-living. And intransitive means it has no direct object. So the verb is occurring without acting on something else. So basically, a VAI is just talking about a word that's describing something that a living thing does without acting on something else. For example, you have to run, to sit, to sleep, and to eat, which all occur without, you needing something else. And as you can see, we have okskasi, ope, ayoka, and oyi. So our first conjugation is the first person singular, which is me or I. So what you do with this one is you take need at the beginning and then you add your VAI, your verb. So one of these verbs, for instance, to say I run, you'd say nitokskase, nitokskase. To say I sit, you say nitope, nitope. To say I sleep, nitayoka, nitayoka. I eat, nitoyi, nitoyi. So pretty easy up to this point. You're just adding neat to these verbs. Hanya. Okay. Next up is first person plural, which would be we or us. And to do this, it's the same beginning as first person singular, except you're adding this ich bin at the end of the verb. So as you could see, to say we run, you'd say nitokskasi ich bin an, nitokskasi ich bin an, nitokskasi ich bin an. And as you can see, it's the same beginning, nitokskasi. And then you just add ich bin an, nitokskasi ich bin an, we run. Then you have nitop ich bin an, nitop ich bin an, nitop ich bin an, which is we sit. So you could see it's the same thing as nitopi, as I sit. So the beginning of all of these words are going to be the same as the first person singular. All that you're doing is adding on this ich bin an. Say we sleep is the same as I sleep nitayoka, except you're adding ich bin an. Nitayoka bin an. But as you could see, you're not pronouncing it ish in this instance, you're pronouncing it ach. That's because grammatically, the aspirate tone and the guttural tone are the same thing. The only difference is really the only difference is what vowel it comes after. It really only becomes the aspirate tone after the e sound, ish, e, and it's guttural all the other vowels. So you wouldn't have oh, you'd have oh, you wouldn't have ach, you'd have ach, ech, for instance. So it's really only an aspirate when it comes after e. So that's right, it's nitayokachbenan and not nitayokashbenan. And then we eat nitoyishbenan, nitoyishbenan. Okay. The next conjugation that you have is second person singular, which is you, just the singular you. And to do this, it's pretty much the same. You add this geet, your verb, and then ishp. So, and this ishp is optional, and it really depends on the dialect. In other dialects like Gana or Siksika or Apatusi Pikani, it's more prevalent, but my dialect, Skapi Pikani, it's not always needed. For instance, with Gitok Ska Sishp, to be you run, I would probably go along the line to say Gitok Skasi instead of Gitok Ska Sishp. And it is pretty much saying the same thing, it's just kind of different grammar. And then for you sit, you take the word opi and then add the beginning and then kitaupish to mean you sit. You sleep, kitayokah, kitayokah, kitayokah. Then you eat, take oyi and add the other parts, kitaoyishp, kitaoyishp, kitaoyishp. And all these are all statements. You run, you sit, you sleep, you eat. They could also serve as questions to be asking. And so, you know, when you say you are saying you run, but it's kind of asking, are you running? Are you running? Or are you sitting? Are you sleeping? Then are you eating? Or even do you eat? Do you sleep? Do you sit? Do you run? Just depends on the context. And really the only way that you can differentiate between stating you run versus are you running is context. So just watch out for the context. Yeah. The next up is the second person plural. And it's again the same thing as second person singular, except you're adding this ishpowao, ishpowao, ishpowao. So kitokskasishp would be you run, but kitokskasishpowao would be you all run, or you guys run, y'all run. It's just kind of like the plural of you. And then for you guys sit, you'd say kitopishpowao, kitayokahpowao for you all sleep, and then kitawishpowao for you guys eat. So as you could see, it's pretty much the same beginning. And with these first conjugation of VAI, really the only thing that makes it plural is the ending. And so what I like to do is the first part of the sentence or the word you look at and you can see who is doing it. If it starts with geet, then it's saying you. If it starts with neat, then it's saying I. Then you could look at the verb to see what it's talking about. And then the ending is how you can determine if it's just one person or several. So, you know, if it just ends with ishp, then you're just talking about one. If you're ending with ishpuao, then it's talking about several. The next up is the third person singular. This is supposed to be an S. I don't know how that happened. So in some cases, and it's really only when the grammar gets more difficult, you'll add an ot. And it's really kind of a longer, you can put ot at the beginning, but it's not the most common. It's really only for certain cases and certain verbs. And then you add your verb and then kind of a wah sound, wah. And that wah sound is always there, but you don't pronounce it as wah. And since it's so silent, you can get away without having it there. So really, you can just use the words and that will be the third person singular. So she runs okskasi. And you could put like a kind of a wah there. Like I said, it's kind of like a yo sound. So you could say okskasio or opi to be sheer, he sits, opio. Then ayoka, aoyi, They all just mean she or he eats. But the sound that I'm talking about is kind of a wah. So I'll say the words without and then with. Oxkasi, that's just how you'd say it without the wah. Oxkasio, oxkasio. So how you'd add this. Opi versus opio, opio, opio. Ayoka versus ayokawa, ayokawa, ayokawa. Oyi versus oyi, oyi, oyi. And really all this WA is signifying that something is the singular third person. But since it's so quiet, it isn't necessary. The way that I think of it is like the ing in English words. You can put that last G in there, but a lot of people cut it out. Running versus running. So a lot of the times this wa gets kind of cut out, cut off. Okay. And then for the third person, plural. Oh, and I forgot to mention, there aren't gendered pronouns in Blackfeet. So that's why it's she or he, she or he, she or he. The only reason I really have she or he is because that's how you'd say it in English, but there's really nothing about the sentence that denotes any kind of gender or anything. It's just, you know, person that is not you or me that we're talking about, the third person. For the plural of the third person, it's the same thing as here, except you're adding ya. Like I said, you could look at the beginning to see if it's first, second, or third, but then look for the ending to see if it's plural. So you have oxkasiya, oxkasiya, and this is a typo. You don't say oxkasiya, ya, oxkasiya, opiya, ayukaya, and then oyiya. I'll say it again. Oxkasiya, opiya, ayukaya, and then oyiya. The next conjugation that we'll learn is VTI, which is verb transitive inanimate. It's like I said, verb is the action word, transitive has a direct object, and then inanimate, another typo, is not alive. So all VTI is describing is an action word that relates to something that's acting on something that's not alive. So for instance, to make, to work on, to know, to eat. Apistotsi, apotsi, sksene, and then owattu, respectively. So for the conjugation for this, the first person singular, again, you add this neat, your verb, and then ishp. So for instance, apistotsi is the word for to make. To say, I make it, nitapistotsishpe. The word for to work is apotsi, which is to work on something. So to say I work on it, you say nitapotsi. The word for to know is skseni. So to say I know it, you'd say nitsksenishpe. The word for to eat is owattu. So to say I eat it, you'd say nitowattu. The plural, it's the same thing, you just add this ishpenan at the end. So apistotsi, nitapistotsi ishpenan, to say we make it. Nitapistotsi ishpenan. To say we work on it. Nitapotsi ishpenan. We know it. Nitsksenishpenan. We eat it. Ito benan. Ito benan. So it's pretty much the same thing except you're adding benan. For the second person singular, which is you add git and then this ish, except this ish is required this time. So you make it would be kitapestot sishpe. Kitapestot sishpe. Kitapestot sishpe. You work on it. Kitapo sishpe. Kitapo sishpe. Kitapo sishpe. You know it. Gits xenishpe. Gits xenishpe. Gits xenishpe. You eat it would be kitowa dup. Kitowa dup. Kitowa dup. And again, they can function as questions as well. Kitapo sishpe would be, are you working on it? Gits xenishpe means, do you know it? Kitowa dup. Did you eat it, essentially? And then for the second person plural, it's pretty much the same thing as the VAI. So git, your verb, ishpoa. You all make it would be kitapestot ishpoa. Kitapestot ishpoa. Kitapestot ishpoa. You all work on it would be kitapo ishpoa. Kitapo ishpoa. Kitapo ishpoa. You all know it would be gits xenishpoa. Gits xenishpoa. Gits xenishpoa. You will all eat it would be kitowa dupoa. Kitowa dupoa. And again, they can function as questions as well. So gits xenishpoa could be, do you guys know it? Or kitapo tishpoa means, are you guys working on it? Or did you guys work on it? And then kitowa dupoa would be, did you guys eat it? Hanya. Okay. Then for the third person singular, it's the same thing as the third person singular VAI, except you add an M to the end. So for instance, apistotsim, 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 she makes it. Apotsim, 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 she works on it. Isksenim, 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 she knows it. Then owa doom, owa doom, owa doom means she eats it. And as you could see, this isksini is the word for to know, but you can't really start out a sentence in Blackfeet or a word with just an S, isksenim. That I just kind of gets added in, isksenim, just to help pronunciation. It's not necessarily a rule. I mean, you could say isksenim, but that I just is there to aid. And then for the third person plural, it's the same thing, except you add ya at the end. Im ya. So apistotsimya, apistotsimya, apistotsimya. They make it. Apotsimya, apotsimya. They work on it. Isksenimya, isksenimya, isksenimya. They know it. Owadumya, owadumya, owadumya means they eat it. But it's the end of our lesson. So, I'll see you guys next time for the next lesson. Okay.